What's happening, folks? Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. The Champions League draw has been done. I'm sure you've seen the news already. Celtic will face Bayern Munich in the knockout phase playoff. That was the draw that I wanted. I think looking at your comments last night and looking at some polls that I saw online, I think most of us would have preferred Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, given the list of talent that they've got, was seen as the tougher tie. Don't get me wrong. It's just about what hiding is going to be the least harsh, I think. But we've got Bayern Munich. I'm delighted with it. We're going to talk a bit about the draw and also the news that the club just announced before the draw was made that they have received a disciplinary notice from Uefa about the use of pyrotechnics the other night at Aston Villa. And that's more interesting than usual because we had already been issued with a sort of 2-year suspended 1-match ban if we made another breach. So we'll talk about the implications of that in a couple of minutes. This is a live format. You can get your comments and questions in, and I'll try and pick out any good ones as I go through. I'll probably be with you for the next 10-15 minutes. So get involved if you can. And if you're on just now, please like the stream as well. So it's Bayern Munich. They currently sit 6 points clear at the top of the Bundesliga. I think one of the things that some people have referenced as to why they prefer Bayern Munich is that they did lose 3-0 at Feyenoord just last week, which was a bit of a shock result for them under the guidance of Vincent Kompany now, who was seen as a really surprise appointment for them coming off his season at Burnley where they were relegated. I don't think many people would have had him nailed on as the next Bayern Munich manager, but the last time we played them, obviously, was my first away trip back in 2017. We lost 3-0 in Munich and we lost 2-1 at Celtic Park. We actually played really well in that home game in the group stage. Went 1-0 down. Callum McGregor scored to equalise. I'm sure you all remember the game. And then I think it was Javi Martinez that got the winner. Headed goal from a cross late on that snatched the points for Bayern Munich. But this is obviously going to be an incredibly difficult tie for us. It'd be nothing short of a miracle for us to find a way through it, of course. We've just got to hope that we can put in a really good performance in that home leg and be in with a chance of just making a game of it over in Munich. You never want to sound too defeatist as a supporter. You always want to hold on to hope that you can beat any team, but it's such a tall order for us in this competition against opponents like this. Their squad is obviously littered with brilliant players. Harry Kane, Leroy Sané, Jamal Musiala, just to name only a few. A really strong side, and obviously it's going to be so difficult for us, but it's all about that home game. The home leg is going to take place on the 11th or 12th of February, and that is not very far away at all. I think it's, what is it? We're on the 31st of January now, so it's a week on Wednesday. Not far away at all. We've got to get the transfer business done. Shout out Lee in the comments, hoping we get some news of transfers this weekend. I think we need to, because again, in the video with Chris last night that I did, we're all concerned that we're a bit weaker right now than we were at the start of the transfer window. So left back's a problem, striker's a big problem for us. We have brought Jota in, but there's just one or two really key positions where we are very, very threadbare at the minute, and we saw that the other night with Cummings coming on up front for Ida, and then also young Dane Murray coming on for Scales at centre half as well. So Carter Vickers coming back, hopefully he can be fit for that first leg. That's obviously another massive issue for us. We've got to get him fit for that first leg at Celtic Park, and then hopefully we've got to get a striker in the door just to give back up to Ida. He did well the other night, don't get me wrong, but we can't go through the rest of the season with only one fit striker. Declan saying, when did they announce the dates? They confirmed on the draw that the dates will be confirmed later this afternoon or this evening, so we'll know by tonight the exact dates and when that away leg is. I know people are obviously buzzing to book travel and stuff. I say I love Munich. It's dead easy to get to as well. There's lots of options in terms of where you can fly to, how you can get buses and trains if you don't fly direct to Munich itself. But that, I suppose, brings us on to Celtic's statement this morning. As a result of The pyrotechnics the other night, they have been issued with that disciplinary notice from UEFA, so they have advised fans to be aware of that. And basically, they're saying to hold off on booking travel. Now, I don't know what the outcome of that is going to be. Obviously, it looks like if they do decide there's a one-match ban, then Celtic will be issued with no away tickets, which would be a huge, huge blow. Here's the statement in its entirety. As a result of the use of pyrotechnics during the match against Borussia Dortmund last year, Celtic was sanctioned by the UEFA control body. The decision was a 20 grand fine, but also if such behaviour was repeated at a match in the next 2 years, the club would be prevented from selling tickets to supporters for one away match in UEFA club competitions. Unfortunately, the club has received another disciplinary notice from UEFA following the match against Aston Villa on Wednesday evening. The club will obviously make robust representations to UEFA and will make every effort to ensure our fans can attend the next Champions League away match. However, clearly there is a risk that supporters may not be able to attend. In the light of this situation, it's incumbent on the club to make supporters aware of this risk when considering travel arrangements until further information is provided by UEFA. So, I mean, we're just going to have to wait and see. That's the top and tail of it. I don't know when that decision is going to be made. I don't know if there's any indication of when they're going to make that decision, but you'd think with the games coming up in the next 2 or 3 weeks, they've got to make that decision soon. No doubt people will book up as soon as the fixtures are confirmed, because that's what they do. I did see that Sporting Lisbon had a ban recently, and I think somehow some of their fans still managed to get in the stadium. So I'm sure there'll be efforts to do that if it comes to it. Listen, it's not great. I can see some comments coming in about punishing the whole support for the actions of an individual. If someone throws a flare or a pyro onto the pitch, it does seem harsh, but I don't think UEFA really pull any punches with this, do they? It's interesting, of course, when the club arranged ones happen, like Aston Villa the other night, who have got fire machines at the side of the pitch, and they set fireworks off into the sky out the side of the stand as well. It seems a bit futile for one pyro being thrown onto the pitch to result in this. I know there's been lots of worse examples, loads of pyros in the Celtic end, loads of flares in the Celtic end at these away trips. It's obviously just they see that as safe because it's organised, and the stuff in the crowd on match days isn't. You could talk all day about the merits of this. Obviously, UEFA are trying to take a zero tolerance policy to it. Whether the club are going to be able to make a representation where they somehow avoid the one match ban, I don't know. I don't think there's any way around that. They find the individual that threw the pyro onto the pitch, and that is just enough for UEFA. I think they're not concerned about one individual. They just want to try and have a big enough deterrent that it doesn't happen again. And listen, it would be a real shame if we can't have a full away support there in the Allianz Arena in a couple of weeks' time. It's a really special stadium. It is where the Champions League final will take place there this season. I know at times through that league phase we joked about being on the way to Munich, but we are. It's just in the playoff phase. As I say, really looking forward to it. Let's get to some comments. John O'Neill, Bayern's away record isn't great, but it'll be a shock of the round if we do qualify. Looks almost certain that we won't have any away fans either. Aye. Look, Bayern's away record in the competition isn't usually where you'd associate it with them, having been so strong for forever, it feels like, in the Champions League and the European Cup going way back. Obviously, a huge club with a brilliant reputation, but this season that they have just had one or two shock results, and maybe that is something that we can prey on, and we can try and get at them at Celtic Park. Again, you've just got to hope that even a draw in the night would be an incredible result for us in that first leg, and it would give us something. You just don't want the tie to be dead. You don't want to be getting into that second leg over in Munich and the tie's finished. You've basically got nothing to play for other than pride, because we've seen already going to Germany this season what can happen if you go away to a big stadium, a big atmosphere, and you lose a couple of early goals. It can get really embarrassing. And even the other night there, again, we've still got that vulnerability about us where we struggle to get control of the game away from home in a big atmosphere and a big game in Europe. and all of a sudden after 5 minutes you can be 2-0 down. We don't want to be getting into that second leg already out of it, and just trying to keep the score down. That would be really, really disappointing. GG Cullen, Dyson for the second leg is massive for us. That is massive that Dyson will be back for the second leg, but it's equally as massive how big the blow is that he's not available for the first leg. Jota, you would think, is going to have to be ready and have to be available to play, because again, Yang showed us the other night he's not at the level. I don't think there's any dressing that up. I don't think there's any ways around that. Yang hasn't been at the level for Celtic so far in his time here, let alone Celtic in the Champions League. So Dyson is huge for us to get him back, but I just think it's a huge blow that we don't have him in that first leg, because again, it's the defensive side of the game. It's the way that he presses opponents that's so big for us in Europe, especially against teams at Bayern Munich's level. Jota, I think his strengths are obviously the other side of the game, the attacking, the dribbling, the flair. Obviously, he's played in a Postecoglou team, so we know that he can put the work in and he can run. But off the back of this 18 months that he's had, how sharp is he going to be, and how long is he going to be able to sustain that in that first leg if it is to be him that plays? I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. Lesser of two evils, definitely. I didn't want Real Madrid. I know we were all crying out for them 2 years ago because we hadn't played them for 40 years, but I think that's enough for now. Like the Mbappe, Rodrigo, Vinicius, Bellingham, that's enough to give you the fear. And Real Madrid could play in second gear and still absolutely hammer us. So I think I'll take Bayern Munich, and I'll take our chances. Phil Sorrow, can the club appeal that suspension for the first leg? I don't believe they can. I think they would have already tried to appeal it by now. I just don't think there's any. I think it's petulant enough, the kick out, that it would be silly to appeal it. I don't think there's any way around it. I don't think they're going to overturn it. He's going to serve a too much ban. He's already served one, obviously, the other night against Aston Villa. I just don't see it. I just don't see any way that could be overturned. It was silly from my end. At the time, I thought it was harsh, but having seen it back, there was really no need for him to do it. I know that the game got a bit edgy at times, and that big defender for young boys is all over him, but he doesn't need to react like that, and it has really hurt us. So let's see any more questions and comments. Imagine they banned us for the home game. I don't think there's any chance of that. We'll be there for the final, Matthew. It'd be a miracle if we're in the last 16. Never mind the final. It's going to be so difficult. There's no doubt. The big work for the club in the next few days is to get these transfer deals done. We need a full strength squad available, and please God, a decent striker and left back on loan if KT's not coming to the summer. I think that's the bare minimum. Having lost a left back, Vai, who was only here on loan, and having lost Kyogo, who was the first choice striker, there's no way the club can come out of this window not having replaced both of those, both of Vai and Kyogo, because as we talked about last night, that leaves the squad weaker. That leaves us in a worse position, and you can't go into a transfer window and come out weaker and expect to be better, expect the squad to be better, expect the results to be better. The amount of money the club have made from this Champions League campaign means it's there. If Fitzgarden is 10 million or upwards, we've just got 10 million for Kyogo. We've made this money off the back of the European campaign. It's there. If he's the number one target, as we said last night, get him in the door, give him these 3, 4, 5 months to settle. And if nothing else, he can be in a much better position to hit the ground running next season. But we can't navigate this next 4 or 5 months of the season with these European games, trying to compete in all fronts, trying to win a treble. We're only one out and out striker. It just can't happen. So the club have got all the work to do in the next few days to get that sorted. Craig Mackey, what do you think about Malacia at left back on loan? Maybe not a bad shout. Maybe not a bad shout. I know he's fallen out of favour at Man United. Hasn't really worked out from there. I mean, struggle to think of a player in the last 10 years that's worked out at Man United, to be fair. But I think if we're not getting Tierney, someone like that could be a good shout, because obviously the boy's a good player. He was at Feyenoord, played a handful of games, had a wee run in the Man United team, but as I say, he's fell right out of it. I think someone like that who's not playing at a big club might look at Celtic as a good option to get some game time in the next 4 or 5 months, and that might be a good deal for us to do. I think that's that's a no-brainer, trying to get someone in on loan, because if we know Tierney's coming back permanently in the summer, I'd expect the club to announce that by the end of the month. If it's all done and dusted, I definitely think they'll make the announcement, and then a loan's the only option. We're not going to bring in somebody else in permanently. We'll see what happens with Taylor. It looks like he is gone. Or maybe they'll announce the Tierney pre-contract and then announce a contract extension for Greg Taylor. You never know. But I think Malacia at left back could be a shout. We've got to get someone in that position, and a loan deal definitely makes the most sense. Paul, can you take one for the team and ban yourself from Munich? Your away records horrendous. Aye. So that was game 14 the other night at Villa Park. 14 away trips, 0 victories. If we can go to Munich, I'd be astounded if it's not 15 and 0 on the away record. Looks like I'm going to have to wait to next season for that elusive away victory. You're talking about closing in on 20 games if I'm lucky enough to get to the trips next season. We've got to get a win sometime soon. But listen, look at the club's record over 20 years. You can't blame that on me. Right, let's look at this one, last one. Maybe another centre back needed to replace CCV. Definitely need a left back pronto. There is a couple of players in the team that you might be worried about in the summer in terms of moving on. Carter Vickers has had links from numerous clubs in England. I think he was also linked with, was it Leverkusen, just last month there. So that speculation is there with Carter Vickers. The other problem for us is his fitness, his availability. It hasn't been brilliant in the Champions League particularly. He's missed a lot of big games. Whether that knee surgery has just caused him issue after issue, I don't know, or it's general wear and tear from playing a lot of games. His fitness record isn't great. That's the only thing you can hold against him, because he's brilliant. He's one of the best players in the team, one of the most important players in the team. But I don't think we'll get a centre back this month. I think left back and striker, and we'll have to be happy with that. I don't think we can really ask for much more. Will we get Orjaster, the other winger? We talked last night about having 4 wingers and whether that was too many to keep happy. I do pick up a couple of your comments about surely we need 4 wingers, because this season we've seen that Yang and Palma haven't been good enough and we've had to use them at times. And I agree with that. I think that's right. No doubt we'll need to use 4 wingers through the course of a season, but I just don't see it that we can have 4 wingers who are like all first team quality. If we're bringing in somebody for 7 million, we've got Jota for 8 million, and the best 2 players this season have been Kun and Maeda. Can we give them all enough game time to keep them happy? I know that Orjaster, relatively young player, 21 years of age, but Jota at 25 coming back to the club, he's not going to be happy to sit on the bench forever. He's going to want to be in the team and play as many games as possible. So going to be interesting to see what happens out wide. But I'll be back with you very soon to talk about more transfer news as and when we get it. That's all for this live stream. I just wanted to jump on, give you my thoughts on the draw and on that news about the disciplinary notice from UEFA. If there's any more updates on that, if UEFA make the decision and issue a ban or not, we'll see how that unfolds, and we'll be back with you to discuss it. If we get any new transfer updates today, any big news, we might make another video this evening as well. But if not, I'll see you tomorrow on the starting 11 prediction. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like the stream. And at the latest, I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.